Welcome to LVT-SHOWBIZ, the place to get the fastest, highest quality, most interesting updates and new perspectives on Chinese entertainment. Thanks for watching LVT-SHOWBIZ. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to stay tuned for more exciting stories from the world of Chinese celebrities. Leave your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear from you.
No one in the industry expected a quiet personal decision to ripple this far, this fast. There was no warning sign, no heated argument caught on camera, no dramatic confrontation leaked online. Just a subtle change, noticed first by fans, then by insiders, and finally by people whose livelihoods were tied to a single production. A hairstyle appeared on social media, lighter and shorter than before, accompanied by a harmless caption that felt almost optimistic. Within hours, what looked like a simple expression of self-renewal began to raise uneasy questions behind closed doors. Phone calls multiplied. Meetings were requested. Schedules that had been fixed for months suddenly felt fragile. This was not the kind of moment that explodes loudly. It crept in quietly, then settled heavily, like the realization that something carefully built might no longer hold. In an industry where every detail is planned long before the cameras roll, one unanticipated change was enough to unsettle an entire system. And that is how a decision that felt personal to one person became a shared concern for dozens of others, all wondering the same thing in silence. How did it come to this? And what happens next? The project at the center of this storm had been in development for more than a year. It was the kind of production that relies on patience rather than speed, with layers of preparation invisible to the public eye. Costumes had been designed to reflect a specific era. Sets were constructed to support close-up shots, where texture and authenticity mattered. Marketing teams had already worked with a fixed visual concept, aligning posters, teasers, and promotional material to a single aesthetic. At the heart of that plan was the female lead, portrayed by Tan Song-yeon, whose image was not chosen casually. It was part of the story's emotional language, a visual shorthand that signaled character, time, and tone before a single line of dialogue was spoken. In many productions, flexibility is built into the process. Adjustments happen, compromises are made. But this particular drama was different. Those close to the project have described a director known for precision, someone who prefers natural details over technical shortcuts. During pre-production, alternatives had reportedly been explored, including extensions and carefully crafted substitutes, yet none met the standard set for intimate scenes where the camera lingers. Authenticity was not a decorative choice. It was a narrative tool. That context is essential to understanding why a seemingly minor change carried unexpected weight. When the new look became public, reactions unfolded on two levels. Fans responded first, focusing on freshness and confidence, applauding a sense of independence and personal expression. Behind the scenes, however, attention shifted to paperwork and planning. Contracts in this part of the industry often include appearance clauses, not as a form of control, but as a way to protect continuity. Hair length, colour, and overall presentation are sometimes specified to ensure that months of filming remain visually coherent. In this case, those clauses were not theoretical. They were practical safeguards, designed to keep a complex production on track. The situation escalated when the male lead, Xu Kai, encountered the change in person. Accounts from crew members describe a moment that was notable not for raised voices, but for its restraint. There was no public display of frustration. Instead, there was a pause, followed by a private discussion that extended far longer than scheduled. This meeting, held away from the set, reportedly involved the director and producers, and focused less on blame than on feasibility. Could the original vision still be realized? Could adjustments preserve the emotional integrity of the story? These were not easy questions, and the answers were not immediately reassuring. For Shukai, the issue was not framed as a reaction to style, but as a response to altered circumstances. He had committed to the project after turning down other opportunities, dedicating months to preparation that included physical training and character research. From his perspective, the role was inseparable from the visual narrative that had been agreed upon. When that foundation shifted, it felt as though the project itself had changed shape. This is where the story becomes less about individuals and more about expectations. In high-stakes productions, clarity is a form of trust. When that clarity blurs, uncertainty spreads quickly. As news of the internal tension reached wider circles, industry observers began to weigh in. Some pointed out that contracts exist precisely to prevent this kind of disruption. Others questioned whether the demands placed on performers, particularly women, leave enough room for personal autonomy. These discussions were not hostile. They were reflective, highlighting a long-standing tension between creative freedom and professional obligation. Social media amplified these viewpoints, with thoughtful commentary on both sides. One group emphasized the importance of honoring agreements that involve significant investment. Another focused on the human need for self-determination, especially in an environment that often prioritizes image over well-being. Meanwhile, the production team faced practical decisions. Rewriting scenes would require time and additional resources. Recasting a lead after extensive preparation would introduce legal and logistical challenges. Delays could affect distribution timelines already negotiated with platforms and partners. Each option carried consequences, none of them simple. In moments like this, the industry's polished exterior gives way to a more vulnerable reality, where even experienced professionals must navigate uncertainty without clear guidance. What makes this situation resonate so strongly is its familiarity. Outside of entertainment, many people recognize the feeling of making a personal choice without anticipating its broader impact. The difference here lies in scale. When a project involves dozens of careers and substantial investment, small decisions can echo loudly. That does not mean they are wrong. It means they matter. And when they intersect with contracts and expectations, they invite scrutiny that can feel overwhelming. As discussions continued behind closed doors, there was no definitive resolution shared with the public. That absence of closure is part of why the story holds attention. It reflects the way real-life dilemmas unfold, gradually and imperfectly, without clear heroes or villains. Instead of offering a neat conclusion, this moment leaves us with questions about balance. How should industries protect their creative visions while respecting individual agency? Where does responsibility begin and end when personal identity intersects with professional commitment? Stories like this remind us that the most consequential moments are not always dramatic on the surface. They can be quiet, almost ordinary, until their implications become impossible to ignore. In an environment as complex as show business, understanding that complexity requires patience and empathy, not quick judgment. It asks us to look beyond headlines and consider the layers beneath, where intention, obligation, and emotion intersect. If you've stayed with this story until now, thank you for taking the time to reflect on it with us. At LVT-SHOWBIZ, we aim to explore the human side of entertainment, not just the spectacle, but the choices and pressures that shape it. If you enjoy thoughtful, in-depth storytelling that goes beyond the surface, consider subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you don't miss future updates. Your support allows us to continue sharing stories that invite understanding rather than outrage. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to having you with us again on LVT-SHOWBIZ.